At moments like this, you fall into certain themes, and it's natural to think in this context. I assume many of you saw the movie Saving Private Ryan. How many of you saw the movie Saving Private Ryan? It's a little over 20 years ago. Magnificent movie by Steven Spielberg. I'm told the most accurate description of what D-Day was like. And when you saw D-Day, it was pretty horrific for those of us as civilians who watched it on the big screen, that people were dying on either side of you. People were weighed down by the weight of the packs coming off the boats and drowned. And there was fire, and you knew that you had to run across a pretty much unprotected beach to find safety so that we could begin the process of pushing back on Nazi Germany with a beachhead. And had D-Day failed, God only knows what would have happened in the world. God only knows. But it didn't fail that day, and those men, we suffered tremendous loss of life, but we also saw tremendous acts of bravery. The movie replays that, and it talks about saving a particular Private Ryan. It's based on the Sullivan family, where there were a number of brothers who had died in various theaters of World War II, and the Pentagon determined that the last remaining Ryan son should be brought back from the front and saved, and that is the premise of Saving Private Ryan. And if you remember the movie, it was shown as a flashback. It begins at the grave sites of Normandy, where you see the crosses and the stars of David row upon row. And there's an elderly gentleman, white hair. He's with his wife of similar age, some adult children and some grandchildren. And he's walking through, and he's looking for a particular grave site. And as he stops and he sees a particular grave site, he remembers. And what he remembers is the bulk of the movie. And it shows D-Day invasion. It shows the battles that went from through a French village where death was around just an instantaneous corner, when a sniper would shoot one member of the group and they shot back, and all of the horrors of war as close as it can be portrayed in a picture. Tom Hanks, great Tom Hanks, the actor, serves as the head of the crew. I don't know I forget what his rank was, lieutenant perhaps, maybe he was captain, leading this group of men to find and save Private Ryan, who's a paratrooper. And they find Ryan, Matt Damon, they save him, but in that final encounter, the Tom Hanks character is dead. He dies. He sacrifices his life so that Ryan can be saved. You bring the flashback back to the present, and you realize that the old man looking at the grave sites is Ryan. Ryan plus 45, 50 years since D-Day. And he turns to his wife. It's so emotional I can barely even get the words out right now. And I've seen this 20 years ago. He turns to his wife. And my father was of that generation. I don't remember my father ever doing this once, because the men of that generation were cut from a very tough cloth. What they saw during the Depression and what they saw during World War II made them very, very tough men and women. And in the movie, Ryan turns to his wife and he says, "Tell me I'm a good man." In essence, tell me that my life was worth saving, that this man who died for my life, that I used that life in a positive way. I think that's an affirmation that we all have at the end of days, whether we've served in the military or not. I think we turn to that person, whether it's a spouse or a significant other, someone we love, someone who loves us, someone who knows us. They know our flaws, they know our positives, and they don't let the press releases or the crowd, they know who you are. And you turn to them and say, tell me that with what you gave me, what the Lord gave us, Bishop, that we used it well and wisely. And to me, when I think of what Memorial Day is, what the sacrifice is, and what are we saying on Memorial Day, to the lieutenant that led the group that saved Ryan, thank you. You gave up years of life so that somebody else could live and somebody else could thrive. And Ryan's attitude at the gravesite is one of appreciation, deep appreciation, as well as trying to justify why do people die for other people. We don't know. We're humans. It doesn't matter if you have a position of wealth or power in the society. That doesn't matter. We're all humans. We're all going to reach that moment. On a day like today, when we see names on a patio, we realize that these people reached that moment at a very young age in their life, before they had many of the joys that many of us have had. I've had the joy of seeing a grandchildren born. I've had the joy of going to a child's wedding reception, daughter in this case, to watch her be given away in marriage to a man that she's happy, 10 years of happy marriage with. I've been there to see a graduation. I've been there for moments where I've had moments of great joy. That's what was given up that day. That's what was given up that day. If you're a sports fan, you're not alive to see the team that you love win the World Series, win the Stanley Cup. You sacrificed all of that day for Ryan and all of the other people. That's what Memorial Day is. That's what Stan told George as a little boy. That's what this day is, George. And that little boy, now 68 years old, has not forgotten it. And when we have a ceremony like this, with all of the pomp that goes with it, the firing squad, the precision of the showing of the colors, the reading of names, all of those things, this is what it's about. And I thank you for being here to share that moment.